Oh, yes. Welcome to episode 3 of Get Me the Brandy. I'm Dan Potash alongside former Penguin Ryan Malone and current member of our broadcast team, Bugsy. Good to have you with us, buddy.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. This is great.
Of course. Absolutely. Long time coming. Glad you could finally join us. And um, packed show coming up, mainly because we had an exciting night Tuesday at PPG Paints Arena. The Penguins with a huge win over Vancouver, their third straight, but another big night for two members of the big three. Of course, I'm referencing Sidney Crosby and Kris Letang. So let's start with the captain, who gets a big goal, but a point that enables him to pass Mario Lemieux for the most points regular season and postseason in franchise history. We knew it was going to be a season of milestones for the big three, but for Sidney Crosby to pass Mario Lemieux, your thoughts on that? And he was very humble in his post-game interview saying that, well, it took me a few more games to do it, but come on, so what? Who cares? I mean, he is now the all-time leader in points in the regular season and postseason in franchise history. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think again, what a tremendous accomplishment. You know, with the hype coming in as an 18-year-old, and then living up to it and surpassing it in many ways is pretty incredible. But I think Sid, honestly, tipping his hat to Mario. 500 games less is a lot less games. So it really shows again how Mario, I think even looking back at all Mario's stats, everyone forgets about the games plays. Even the one year he beat LaFontaine there, I think he only played like 50 games, but he had like 150 points, which is as a player you do respect that mark. So I think Sid, as always, being humble and giving the nod to Mario, but it just goes to show his discipline, his commitment, and his mindset over the past 2 decades. But it is amazing to see him have these accomplishments.
Of course, I'm always kidding when I talk about Sid being modest, but he's always been that way and very respectful to Mario and the other greats of the game. My question to you, Bugsy, is look, I know he's been playing a long time, but does it surprise you at all that he continues to play at the level that he's currently playing at or has always played at?
I mean, no, but it is. I mean, too, like with the style of play that he plays, and he's not afraid to go into the dirty areas and mix it up. It just shows again, I think, his commitment in the off season to prepare himself for the long trek of the regular season and playoffs. I know from training with him in Colorado early on. And I even talk about it with mental health, your gut health. He was talking about it, when he's 18 years old. I have no idea what he's even talking about until these last few years, learning about mental health and how important your gut actually is for you to, be able to think properly. And even that the serotonin, that happy chemical, is 90% in your gut. So, I mean, that's where performance really starts. I know he takes care of himself to be the best he can, and it's just again amazing to see him now do it for 2 decades. But again, it goes into all those little details that he was very aware of as a young kid, and it's great to see him continue to play at such a high level.
What did it mean for you to play with him for the handful of seasons that you had the opportunity? And I ask because, your dad played for the Penguins, so you grew up here in Pittsburgh, and you had a chance to watch Mario Lemieux play as a kid, and then you get a chance to play alongside Sidney Crosby. What was it like to play against or play alongside him, not only in games, but practice where he was kind of sharpening his craft for game nights?
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate too to get a few years with Mario there at the
That's
end.
true. Yes, that's
So,
right.
playing online with him and seeing him in practice, I was like, ooh, how are the defensemen going to hit him in practice in the one-on-one drills? Or like, what's going to happen here? And Mario there's just a one-on-one drill, kind of the defenders on the hash marks and the forwards on the goal line is kind of a straight down one-on-one drill where the D kind of can angle when they get to the red line. And I remember Drake Berhalski, trying to cut Mario off. And anytime the D would cross his feet over, Mario would do that, put the puck through their stick and then hop around the other side and dance around them. And then after that happened a few times, the defenseman would just stay straight. So then Mario would just take a shot from the outside. And Sid, man, in practice, he, was very focused and intense. And I know from playing with him in practice as well, even on our breakouts, if I was his winger, getting him the puck and the puck was a little wobbly, he wanted it perfectly flat on his stick so then he could be ready to make the next play or handle it the proper way. And I was just kind of like, why don't you just slow down a little bit instead? So it is like early in the morning here. Definitely, raised everyone's performance around him and, demanded this another level of guys, that compete factor. I still remember that first year, us not making the playoff, our Sid's first year. And, he was pissed. And I was still like in La La Land. I'm playing for the Penguins. I'm like, oh, it could be worse. We're playing for the Penguins, or he's calling my job. So he had that other level that he's always been kind of training for. We all believe in that. Again, given everything he has on and off the ice to be the best he can.
I want to ask you, what do you think, in your opinion, will be the most significant accomplishment for him? Tying Stevie Yzerman for the longest tenured captain with one team, passing Wayne Gretzky for the most points per game seasons in NHL history, and then, of course, passing Mario Lemieux for the most points in Penguins history. I mean, those are three pretty significant players or things that you could possibly do as an NHL player.
Yeah, I think, for him, probably looking back at, as you just listed, all those accomplishments, I think, just come with his character. So at the end of the day, it's probably, again, how he led the team and how he made others feel, I think, around him, that will go down as his legacy. And again, I think it's the work ethic and all these points come because of his love for the game and his dedication to the game. So I think, him looking back, again, I think it'll be more about all of his teammates that helped accomplish those goals than, his name at the top of all those lists. So, again, those are three amazing, milestones. And it's crazy to think, he still has probably, maybe 4 or 5 years left in him if he wanted to keep going as much as he, loves the game and takes care of himself. So I think for him, looking back personally, it'd be more about, again, I think the team accomplishments and, how he, led.
All right, let's move the spotlight over to Kris Letang, who was also a shining star in Tuesday's victory over Vancouver. A couple of assists, 600 career assists, becoming the 20th defenseman in NHL history to reach that number. I have to ask you your thoughts as a former NHL player, just because of the fact that that's a lot of helpers for a defenseman in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, I think I only played around 650 games, so I think just assist, and even the one last night is 600 assist. His vision on the ice, and that's what I think the Penguins have done so well this year, is actually put the puck in places where they can get it first. And it was an indirect pass off the back wall to his teammate there that they could get the puck first. So again, his vision on the ice and then his skating ability as well. I don't know. I'm sure everyone's kind of seen his training programs there in the summer. As you know, the legs feed the wolf, as Herb Brooks used to say, and he's got some tree trunks there. So it doesn't look like he's slowing down either for 39. So, but again, it's his vision and be able to see those plays and then make again, he's making those great plays to help his teammates as well.
He's been in the conversation for a Norris Trophy for many years. And I had a chance to catch up with Randy Carlyle a week ago, the only Penguin to ever win the Norris Trophy. And your dad played with him in the early 80s as a member of the Penguins. Does it still amaze you that no other member of the Penguins has won the Norris Trophy, considering how many excellent defensemen have come through Pittsburgh in the time since Randy played for Pittsburgh?
Yeah. I think especially Letang. I think a few of those years. Sometimes I feel like the media is involved, so they look at the points maybe instead of maybe the overall game. And that's where I think, Tanger especially isn't afraid to, shy away from those one-on-one battles and be hard to play against. And he kind of mentioned even last night, talking about this milestone, it's about him showing up and doing what he can to help the team first, and all these assists and goals and stats kind of come along with him just playing his game. So I think he's, again, more proud of the championships they won and him being a big role in the driving force there on the back end. So, I think it would be great for him to get a little more recognition for his great play.
So a couple of assists last night. He had just one coming into last night's game. Can, I don't know, reaching a milestone like this, or any milestone for that matter, kind of give a player a little bit of a boost? And look, I think it's fair to say that Kris is certainly looking at a Hall of Fame a future, or an opportunity to enter the Hall of Fame because of his play on the ice. And I don't know if a milestone is something that really triggers or clicks in his head, but is that something that you think can help a player like get in the groove and start to get on a run at certain time in the season?
Well, I think definitely would help his confidence. I know, again, we talk about a team player he is with Carlson kind of running the number one power play now. So Tanger, selfishly, he could be like, I want traded, I want out of here. I want to be the guy. But that's not his character, and he's willing to, help out that second unit and, again, be used as he can to help the team, which, says a lot, I think, about him. And I think, for himself, maybe when he gets home with his family and, you take a pause for a second, especially through some of his injuries, he's probably just very grateful, again, about the career he's had. And you look back and you're like, oh man, time's flying. You can look and see the accomplishments. So I think it's definitely a confidence booster for him. And again, it goes to his, testament to his dedication on and off the ice for him to reach those levels.
Here, we don't just watch the Penguins. We live every tipped puck.
Unbelievable.
Every battle.
Give me more of this.
Every new prospect.
This is a glimpse of the future.
Everything you love about the Pens, we do too.
I'm down here between the benches.
You know what that means, Pens fans?
Cheers for that.
The fuck did they score?
We manifested it.
Stream the Penguins all season long on SNP 360.
All right, let's stay with defense, but move to the Penguins' crease and talk about the goaltending situation. And I guess it's a 1-2 punch, because we've seen both goaltenders get a fair shake, because it's one goalie one night, the next goalie the next night. It's been a 50-50 split, and Arturs Silovs got a chance to shine last night against his former team. And I would think the opportunity to do that is motivation in itself, and he did not disappoint with his showing last night. A goal got by him early, but after that, he stopped, 23 of 24 shots overall to beat his former team, where he didn't spend a lot of time, but he was quick to talk about, or he spoke at the morning skate, how he did learn a lot while he was in that organization, and he did some pretty good things. He helped him win a playoff series against Nashville in 2024.
Yeah, I think if you look back at his track record, even he got Latvia their first medal at World Championships. I think he had 50 or 60 saves. That was obviously a few years ago. And as you mentioned, hopping into Vancouver's playoffs there a few years ago and sealing the deal in the end to end the series. And then last year even, being part of the American Hockey League Calder Cup Championships, winning the MVP. So anytime he's been under the gun, it seems like he's risen. So I think this is definitely a great steal for the Penguins. And I think, with Jarry and him rotating, I think it keeps them both fresh. And Jarry as well, obviously he's had, I would just say, a tough few years here so far. But again, it's that mindset. And I think together they're pushing each other. And I think you got to really look at the guys in front of them as well. There's not giving up so many grade A chances, but they both have been so far this season when the time is needed for that big save. They both been able to make that big save, where I feel like the last few years, some of those have just squeaked in, or we haven't been able to get those timely saves. And I think you hear them both kind of say that, in some of the post game interviews, right? You got to make the save when it matters. And I know you look at Bennington there in St. Louis. That's kind of everyone. His nod is when the game's on the line, they know he's going to make that save. And I believe this will be a great goalie here for the future of the Penguins.
This is not the first time a couple of goaltenders have gone back and forth, and we don't know how long this may continue. It's a long season. But can we dig a little deeper into what the pros and cons may be? And you already talked about the fact that they can both stay fresh, right? There's never a chance, at least so far, there's not been the opportunity for one of them to get cold. They're both going to be sharp, knowing that the next game, most likely, they're going to get back in the crease and play it. So no one's going to have to shake off any rust. But what are some of the pluses and minuses of having an opportunity to go back and forth between two goaltenders?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there's too many negatives. Maybe the one guy, unless they're like egos or kind of like, I want to be the guy. But again, I think they both are team first guys. So, at the end of the day, it's just like, geez, if I get to rest and then, feel better. I mean, those guys are taking a lot of shots. The backup goalie staying after practice and working. So, again, I think if they, can rotate and stay fresh, they're going to have, maybe a little stronger push each game or whatever it may be, a little more, maybe better focus. And I think it's, especially now with how fast the game is and how sharp you have to be, those game situations with traffic, tracking the puck. And I mean, it's a lot more tiring than we probably think from sitting up in our seats than when you're in that goalie stance there, pushing back and forth when they're in the offensive zone there night after night. So when you add in the travel and some of those little things, again, you don't want all that adds up. So again, I think if you can keep two guys fresh and then, hopefully come playoff time, you maybe can ride the guy that's in the zone there. But again, I think it's a good thing. And I think it makes it more about, I think, the team as well. The guys in front of them want to play well each night for both goalies. So it kind of brings everyone together, I think, too.
Brian, what's the communication like? I mean, you get used to playing with guys on the ice, you develop some chemistry, and I think there has to be a steady line of communication, especially between defensemen and a goaltender. But I guess everyone, depending on where the puck is on the ice or who's back there retrieving the puck. But then you change goaltenders. Is it just an easy turn of the page and all of a sudden you're communicating with the other guy one night and then this guy the next night? Or can there be a little bit of a challenge or a hurdle involved with that?
It would be, a little bit. I know Silovs, he has broken English, so maybe they have code words back there. Goaltending coach Andy Kyoto has them maybe doing something similar. So the D, no, over, hard rim, or just keep it very simple. And that's where I know, I haven't really thought too much about how they both handle the puck. Maybe Jarry might be a little better, easier to come out and then help his defense get set or make that pass. But I think even Jarry, was he shooting for an empty net the other night too? Didn't he try for another empty net goal? So, I mean, I know as a defenseman or even a forward, I remember we had Mike Smith as a goalie. When he was back there, the other team would dump it, and he's like a third defenseman back there. So the D loved it. They didn't have to get run through the wall. So, if those guys can help those defense, get out of the zone easier, everyone's all for it. But I think that communication is important, and I'm sure they review what that is. Maybe that's a good question you can ask them.
Well, let me ask you what I hope is a good question. I think it was maybe your last season with the Penguins. I don't think it was an even split, but I think you played with three different goalies throughout that season. I think it was Marc-Andre Fleury, Ty Conklin, and Danny Sabrin. So, again, it was almost like keep your head on a swivel because we could have, a different guy, not almost every other night, but throughout the season, you played with different guys. So to keep that communication open and develop that chemistry with three different goaltenders, or however many it may be, I think is super important, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I wasn't too worried about it. I just had to get back to my wall usually, but the defenseman for sure. It is a big difference, and that communication is important because you definitely see some of those fluke goals or the miscommunication goals, unfortunately. when you kind of have those new netminders back there with some of these defensemen as well. You got them all over the world here trying to speak English. So you got to have definitely a plan in place to how to move the puck.
So I mentioned 3 goaltenders. Let's talk about the other guy, if you will, and Sergei Miroshov and what he's been able to do. He had a solid training camp with the Penguins, went back to Wilkes-Barre Scranton, and is off to a great start. Your impressions of what this young goaltender continues to do and what the future may have in store for him at some point here at the NHL level.
Yeah, I think, again, you got to tip your hat to the brass and scouts for kind of bringing these guys in. And I think, anytime a player can go be the guy and get all the shots and games and reps, that's going to do, tremendous things for his own personal growth and game. So I think he's in, a great spot now. And, and obviously I'm sure, Jarry and Silovs know, hey, there's another kid knocking on the door too. So it kind of is that internal battle and competition you want in the organization to kind of push guys to continue to develop and grow. So I think that's a great position down there for him. And again, I think it's a great thing for the Penguins' future. I know Dubas and Spez are trying to do 2 things at once here with bringing in some of these instrumental parts to grow the future of the Penguins and make sure they can get back in the playoff hunt. And so it's, I think, a great thing for him too to kind of develop down there. And you never know if one of these guys gets hurt. He'll definitely, I'm sure, get a look up here.
So he's one of many new faces we could see at some point this season. But I want to talk about a new face we are currently seeing with the Penguins now, and that's Parker Wotherspoon, who was a free agent acquisition for the Penguins and has really made his presence felt. Your thoughts on what he's been able to do in a short time here on the defensive side with the Penguins, working with a veteran like Erik Karlsson?
Yeah, I mean, playing with Erik Karlsson's not probably easy, right? Because he's up in the play, he's all over. But I think for me, he's kind of one of those guys you don't notice because he's in the right spot. He's killing the play. He's making just those simple plays, kind of like maybe a Rob Scuderi type, defenseman that's just kind of in the spot at the right time, does those little things very well. I think he's averaging like 23 minutes a night, I believe, or around there for the team. So you see how the team's had success so far this season. And a lot of it's been these guys being able to make that high percentage play, not get beat with their one-on-one battles. And he's definitely stepped right in and earned his spot.
How about the opportunity or the way he was able to, he had a difficult ending to the game in Anaheim a week or so ago where he had a delay of game penalty that led to the game-winning goal for Anaheim. And then 2 nights later in Los Angeles, he was able to get on the score sheet, help the Penguins to a win over the Kings. You're trying to settle into a new system with new teammates, a new defensive partner in Erik Karlsson. I think there could be a lot of pressure on a new guy trying to feel at home with a new team. Do you feel that he's handled that well? And what's that like? You obviously, having left the Penguins at one point, went to Tampa, trying to settle in, not make every play the best play. Is that difficult to do?
Yeah, you just want to obviously help the team win any way you can. And, unfortunately, with the delay of game, hockey plays are going to happen. So you kind of just got to shake them off and, reset the mind and worry about what you can control. So as you said, he had a good bounce back game there in LA. And, at the end of the day, it's just it's the we attitude. I think when you join the team, how can I help? And then you just want to make sure you start seeing W's go up on the board, and you're making sure when you go over the boards, you're making an impact. And it's, I think, usually looking in the mirror, can you win your one-on-one battles? Can you sometimes just even get the puck out of your zone? And sometimes it's maybe you have to draw a penalty to get the guys on the ice for the power play or whatever little thing you do, or block a shot at the end of the game. You want to be able to contribute in some way to the team. And I think that's the beauty about, hockey and the great teams. Everyone kind of has their role and embraces that role. And, that's how you win.
Inside Penguins Hockey is back
Let's go eat sushi.
for an all-new season.
And now he's your best friend.
Yeah.
Getting a line in the water is always a joy for me.
Inside Penguins Hockey. New episodes every month on SportsNet Pittsburgh. Presented by UPMC Health Plan.
I want to fast forward a little bit to what's going to be something that the Penguins will celebrate this weekend with the Penguins Hall of Fame weekend in the class of 2025, and some pretty big names that will be entered into the Hall of Fame, and names that you are certainly familiar with: Ron Francis, Kevin Stevens, Eddie Johnston, and Scotty Bowman. And I want your thoughts on these gentlemen, and I know that you have a connection to them. Let's start with Ron Francis, and again, having grown up here and watched them, watch the Penguins, especially during the first two Cup seasons, your thoughts on Ronnie franchise.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see him second all-time in assists, and he's never even mentioned as like a greatest player in this game. But for me personally, I had a unique upbringing with my dad actually playing in Hartford. So my brother and I were rink rats as well up there. And I remember him and Ron Francis and Kevin Dineen stuffing my brother into like a dirty laundry bin. And that day, Ron Francis became my favorite player. I think he was only 18 or 19 at the time. So I always watched him there because he was my dad's teammate. And I still remember that morning, my dad, gave me the call, or he's like, guess who we got? And that's when they made the big trade to get Francis and Samuelson and Grant Jennings. So I had my Ron Francis sweater, actually. He was actually my favorite Penguin growing up. No disrespect there, Mario or Yags, but he was actually my favorite Penguin growing up. So I watched him pretty closely when he was on the ice, and he was just such a smart player. And again, it was great to see him have success. I think, even last night we're talking about Gino, and he's flying on the radar of Sid, pretty much, and how talented he is and what a great player is. And then I think it was very similar when, Ron Francis was our second centerman. You had Mario as the big guy, but what an impact! And I think you heard again what a great teammate and leader he was in the room with all the guys, and they obviously had a great group there to go back to back. So it was cool to see him bring a championship to Pittsburgh.
How about Kevin Stevens? And I don't think I'm reaching here. The true definition of a power forward.
Oh, yeah. I remember just as a kid, again, I was fortunate as my dad was a head scout at that time. So I was kind of in the locker rooms after and in practice around. And I just remember he looked like a freight train. He had the big barrel chest. He's like, he was a freight train. And I definitely, again, looked up to him as a player on the ice, again, going to the hard areas. Doing what it kind of took for the team, and then now get him to know a little more personally after his career and what he's doing with power forward. What a great story and great human, and couldn't be more proud to just even call him a friend. And again, so well deserving. All these guys getting into the Hall of Fame here and being recognized for their contribution to the city here. It's awesome.
How about Eddie Johnston? And I know that he's one guy that's still, look, I saw him last night after the game. He still comes down to the room, slides in and says hello to everybody. Just somebody that always has a smile on his face. And look, I have a good time just saying hello to him as a member of the Penguins front office over the years. I did not get a chance to cover him when he was a head coach or a general manager or a player for that matter. But I can only imagine how much fun it must have been to be around him when he worked at that level or in those particular positions, because he seems like he's so much fun to be around now. I can only imagine what it was like to be around him in those particular levels of play.
Yeah, I think, we go obviously way back. So, with his family and Joe, his son, as well as my age, so playing in the South Hills high school hockey together. But even EJ last night, the same thing. I would pop up there to watch the game with them. And he's like, we got to shoot in between. Once we get inside the dots, we got to shoot the puck. And next thing you know, Novak is inside the dots, scoring from inside the dots, and then Sid's shooting from inside the dots. I'm like, well, he's definitely still, got it up top there. So again, he's done so much for the city and franchise. It's truly, I mean, it's crazy to really think about the decades of how he's really helped bring Pittsburgh to a hockey town, and what a significant impact he's had. I kind of remember actually when he was out of town, Joe would have parties at his house. So that's we sneak over there. But again, a great person, understands the game, and he's built obviously a legacy here in Pittsburgh with his hockey IQ and mindset. And again, I think comes down to that character and treating everybody with respect and being part of the team. So again, it's great to honor him and what he's done for the city of Pittsburgh.
Lastly, Scotty Bowman, and I shouldn't say lastly, but going back to your childhood, after the Penguins won that first cup, did you think they had a chance to repeat? And how exciting was it to see them do so, considering the challenges they had overall, including a new head coach in Scotty Bowman?
Yeah, I think I think him and Badger Bob, just with their attitude, it's a great day for hockey with Badger, always just the positivity, and Scotty, I think, understanding the skill level and the character of the guys they had here, a mix of the grit and talent, and I think when Scotty was there, then they had, Trotz is on the fourth line with the Ags. Again, just the character they brought in for the depth to have a complete team, and guys that are hard to play against on the back end that can get the puck up the ice. But again, I think for his NHL legacy is putting those pieces together and then kind of letting them do their thing. I think looking back at some of those practices, I don't think many guys had shoulder pads on. Or it wasn't as intense as practices are now, we can say, so you kind of let the big boys be creative, I think, offensively, but then, bring back that structure and that defensive side of the puck to really help, hone those championships.
Well, in addition to celebrating the Penguins Hall of Fame class of 2025, we're also celebrating the 10th anniversary of their Stanley Cup championship in 2015-16. And let's just start with this. What do you remember most about that season? It doesn't necessarily have to be the playoff run that led to a Stanley Cup championship, but what stands out? Is there a play? Is there a game? Is there a stretch of games that when you think about that season as a whole, where you go, to me, that's what stands out. That's why they were able to turn the corner and win it all.
For me, not really. I remember just always checking in that season. That's kind of the year I actually retired. So I was just, watching the boys, again, see where, Sid and these guys were, and again, for what they're doing for the city. And I think, anytime you have, Sid kind of leading the ship, he's just going to pull everyone along. So again, even this year, I was on Madden, Penguins aren't going to make the playoffs. I'm like, don't say that, because I think with the leadership group, and if you can play well 5-on-5, and then the special teams are well, like if you can get the power play, in the top 5, maybe even top 10, they're going to have a chance to get in, and then anything can happen. Like we talk about the goaltending, one of these guys gets hot, you're playing well, anything can happen. So I never doubt this leadership group and how they can really turn things around. So again, that year in 15-16, they were able to get it done. But I think it's those leaders that lead. So it was no surprise to me to see them do that then.
And you saw that leadership firsthand in 07-08 when the Penguins made the run to the finals against Detroit. And I would think that opportunity just to be a sponge was probably huge for you as a player, because you had not only a front row seat to watch them, Sid, Letang, Malkin operate, but it probably helped you as a player as well raise your level of play.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think, like I said, from the practice to all the way through. I know Gino was a little different in practice than Sid. He's more like easy. Bugsy was me, kind of Malkin and Sakura that '08 year. But again, I think everyone kind of had their role in the team, and obviously we wanted to bring another championship to Pittsburgh. I know, personally for myself. From being a fan to being able to, wear these colors, you're definitely thinking of the city and how amazing it would be to be part of one of those championship teams. Unfortunately coming up a little short, but again, all that experience, I take now and continue to use it. Even unfortunately, my two boys are in high school. I'm talking to them about gut health and taking care of themselves. I'm like, listen, if I wasn't sitting next to Sid or knew this information, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't be telling you, but it's going to help you, over the end. So there's definitely a great opportunity riding shotgun, with those guys, and definitely learned a lot. So, it was a privilege again to be able to wear these colors and play with those guys.
And I'm jumping around here a little bit, but it just came to mind in talking about wearing the colors and having relationships. I'm going back in time a little bit to I think it was Malkin's rookie season. I forget where we were. We were on the road. It may have been during training camp or the early part of the season, but the nickname Gino, we were all calling him Evgeny to start. Didn't you have something to do with coming up with Gino?
Yeah.
What's the story? Refresh my memory on that.
Well, I think we were just out, and he obviously had broken English, and he's like, Guinea. And we're like, Guinea was not a good nickname, it was not good. And then obviously in practice, he's scoring goals. He's got a big curve. So we're like, Gino's the name. So then it kind of stuck. It was, I think Andre Waugh and I we're all out one night. So that's how it came to be, I think. So yeah, Gino, not Guinea.
Not Guinea. It's stuck, and obviously he's become extremely popular over the last 20 years. All right, so trivia time real quickly. Going back to the celebration of the 2015-16 Stanley Cup season. 6 players from the 15-16 Penguins championship team were also teammates of yours. Can you name all 6? And I think there may be a little trick in here. I'm not sure. Our producer, Nick, is a little slick.
Well, obviously the big 3.
Okay.
And then I want to say, geez, I'm 15 because I remember the 08. I don't know if Orpik was still there. Scuderi. Oh, geez. 15, 16.
Come on, you want some help?
Yeah, I need some help.
Sometimes you have to take a moment to smell the...
Oh, Flower, still. He was still here.
Come on!
Yeah. Why? I should have known that one.
That's all right. That's all right. I still couldn't get the whole list. I could not get the whole list. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Let me know when you're running on gas fumes, and we'll bring out the answer.
Well, I'm trying to think who else is on the back end that would be around from 08. Scuderi was gone, right? That was a no. Orpik was gone. Scuderi, yes, maybe. Orpik, you're not, guys aren't going to tell me.
I'm not here to help you, dude.
No, I know. I wish I should have. I should have studied. There we go. Oh, Dupuis. All right. Hags. All right.
Hagelin.
Yeah.
Hagelin from what? Rangers.
The Rangers. Oh, that's the trick. There's the trick one. Yeah. Cup of coffee with the Rangers doesn't count.
Yeah, but see, like I said, our producer Nick threw us a curve. I would not have caught that. That's pretty.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many? So outside of the obvious, the big 3 and Flower as well, who are some of the guys that you still stay in touch with from your time here in Pittsburgh?
Well, a little bit with those guys. I think in passing, kind of stay connected. I think now helping out with the alumni, we kind of reach out to everybody to kind of trying to get the band back together here shortly. I think everyone's looking for that, so we're all excited for those opportunities. Yeah, I mean, mostly, life gets a little busy, so it's not like I'm talking to someone, every month or anything like that, but we're always usually just checking in on guys and see how we're doing. So, no one specifically.
So, bringing you guys back to the TV side, yourself, Max Talbot, I think is an opportunity for you guys to connect again. But these are relationships that, like you said, every once in a while you could just pick up the phone and you could pick up from where you left off the last time you spoke, whether it was the week before or a year before. Is it just that easy?
Yeah, it is. That's where I don't know if that's just like a guy thing or maybe that's just, I think maybe myself too. I don't know. I'm not, I don't need to have constant check-ins or contacts with guys, but I know when we get together with these alumni events, we all just pick up right where we left off, and it's great being around the guys. It's been great seeing, Talbot. I mean, Army's always kicking around here. Talking to, obviously, seeing Sid when you're in town, certain guys just catch up a little bit. So, I think that's the beauty about the unique brotherhood of NHL alumni. Most guys, even if you haven't played with them, you know a guy that has. So if you bump into them wherever it may be, at the hockey rink, you're usually saying hi and catching up. So I think that's the cool thing about, being an alumni. I think there's only 5,000 of us-ish alive that have played in the NHL. So it's a unique, definitely brotherhood and mindset. So I think we all, especially after, we kind of hang up the skates, Glenn and Chaser and everyone there at the alumni has done a great job now, fighting for some of our, Medicaid and dental and certain things that the previous, guys before us may not have the best coverage. So we're really trying to take care of everyone and lean on each other. So when you do get out of the game, you don't get, left behind or lost. You can always check in, have a place to find support and, whatever help or trouble you might be in, there's a great hockey hug waiting for you anytime, so we don't want guys to feel left out, because sometimes it gets very lonely. You leave the game and you're the locker room and you're used to hanging out with the guys. And that's where I think, most of us miss that locker room atmosphere and the magic of just being accountable each day for each other and showing up for each other. And it's been, a great honor and privilege to kind of help out with the alumni side to make sure guys are, knowing there's information out there, that there's help, or again, whatever you may need to transition into that next phase of your life, so we can help each other out. So I think that's the cool thing about our, unique brotherhood.
You talked about the brotherhood, the connection, staying in touch with former teammates. Real quickly, I want to make sure we touch on this before we wrap things up. Your foundation, your continuing efforts to help outside of the TV work that you do and the game of hockey. What current things are you working on? How can people find out more about your foundation and what you're currently doing?
Yeah, thanks. I think, again, it's understand that magic of that locker room and how important that dynamic is for people to heal. And that's where we celebrate, the veterans and our first responders in our community with, we say hockey is healing. So you can go to hockeyishealing.org to learn more about the Malone Family Foundation. We got a big event in Tampa. They're going to let us use Benchmark Arena November 22nd. We got NHL as our presenting sponsors. So the NHL now is understand the power of the hockey community and how we're able to help bring the true heroes in our communities together using our game. I think that's an edge we have on all these other pro sports. There's not any other sports league that can, I think, celebrate their heroes in this way. We get them on the ice and off the ice. Again, we're talking about resilience and nutrition, all these things I kind of spoke of. that I've experienced, and how important that is for our mental health and our well-being. So it's just really been an honor and privilege to do that. I know last May we had a great turnout here in Pittsburgh for our gala, and this year again we'll do another great event. So we're really trying to reach out to even other alumni chapters to have it grow. So Philadelphia might be another great area to start a Warrior Academy. So we'll get even show Philadelphia some love too. We'll spread the love everywhere. So
I think that's great. And the celebrity game that you have at Robert Morris University has become a huge event and a lot of fun to watch. And again, Ryan, the efforts that you and many others continue to make does not go unnoticed. It really is great, and I'm thankful that you have asked me to be involved in a very small way, but so thankful that you think of me and so many others. But it's a great venture by you, and hats off to everything you continue to do.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's obviously a team effort, and it's a we thing. That's where it's cool to just get so many people getting involved and supporting, all the local area teams here in Pittsburgh, supporting the Pittsburgh Warriors, and then you have the Pittsburgh Fire and Police. It's definitely cool to honor the true heroes in our community. So it's definitely a privilege, and very grateful for the opportunity. So thanks for all the support.
Bugsy, thanks for joining us on the show. We appreciate it. I look forward to working with you in the studio in the not too distant future, buddy.
Yeah, sounds good.